Perfect, 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 perfect.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back for another video. So to start off, I want to apologize for the lack of uploads recently. It's not because of me being a typical lazy YouTuber, but actually the opposite. Today's video took a lot, and I mean a lot of time and research. The project we are showcasing today required months and months of development, testing, prototyping, many failures, and actually using it to see if it can hold up in today's intense gaming scene. If you have seen any of my other videos, you would know I play mostly Fortnite on a PC with a controller, and I get a ton of hate for it. Like many of you, I grew up playing games on a console with a controller and not a keyboard and mouse. So when I finally made the transition to PC, I decided to keep playing on a controller, as this is what I was used to and was really good with. Many times I tried making the switch to keyboard and mouse, but could never get the hang of it. I always loved using a mouse for games, how accurate and how fluid a mouse felt, but I could never get the hang of movement with a keyboard. W.A.S.D always felt off. Not being able to move your fingers away from these dedicated keys felt restricting, never mind the fact it only allowed you 4 directions of movement over the analog stick I was used to, which gave you true 360 degrees of movement. When it comes to games like Fortnite, it's obvious that keyboard and mouse provides an advantage over players on controller. Having greater control with mouse and more keys for bindings, the proof is in the pudding. During the Fortnite World Cup, out of 100 players that qualified, only 10 of them were on controller. Using that metric, keyboard and mouse players have a 90% overall advantage. I'm sorry, controller players have aim assist, oh my god. On that same note, the keyboard and mouse players will almost always have one similar major complaint about using a keyboard, and that is the outdated 4-directional movement of W.A.S.D. This had me thinking, why isn't there an option that would bring the advantages of both sides together, the accuracy of a mouse and the superior movement of an analog stick? So I started to search the web for a joystick keyboard or a joystick mouse, but was left extremely disappointed. The 2 most popular options I found was a Razer mini keyboard with a joystick attached to the bottom of it and a gaming mouse made by some no-name company called Lexip. After purchasing both, I felt almost scammed. Not only were they both extremely uncomfortable, but they weren't even true analog sticks. Although they looked like analog sticks, all they were was a stick that would reassign W.A.S.D. So if you moved the joystick forward, it would simulate you clicking W on the keyboard. Back, it would simulate S, etc. After even more research, I discovered the reason both of these peripherals were just reassigning W.A.S.D. and not providing you with true 360-degree analog movement was because that would create 2 different inputs, creating 2 different types of signals. Games aren't designed to handle this, but luckily for you and I, Fortnite is one of the only games on the market that actually has the ability to do this. They even give you the option to enable it directly in the settings, and you don't need to hack the game or run some crazy third-party software. It's really curious that Fortnite has an option to use multiple inputs at the same time, like a controller and mouse, yet there is legit not a single option out there to take advantage of this. I believe Fortnite created this option to support disabled players who are unable to use the conventional gaming peripherals that you and I are used to, yet gives this person the option to cater their experience to their own satisfaction and what is most comfortable for them. Or it could be that Fortnite is undoubtedly an innovator in the gaming space, and maybe they saw the massive potential of using multiple inputs can have for their players. Either way, this simple setting gave me the idea and motivation to create my very own, hell, the world's first gaming mouse with a true full-sized analog stick. How hard could this actually be to create and build myself? About 7 or 8 years ago, I used to mod my very own rapid-fire controllers for the Xbox 360, which gave you extra back buttons, kind of like a scuff. While it took some time to get the hang of soldering, all in all, it wasn't that difficult, as there were and still are countless forums and guides on the web for modding console controllers. So I hit up my local hardware store, bought all the electrical equipment I thought I needed, and started coming up with designs for my very own Joystick gaming mouse. The two main components I needed for this project was a controller and a gaming mouse. While Fortnite allows you to use a wide range of controllers, I wanted one that I was used to and had a lot of information on the internet about modding it. I went with the PS4 controller. For the gaming mouse, knowing I would damage many of them during development, I wanted to find a budget gaming mouse that felt great for a low price. I also needed a mouse that had a lot of extra space on the inside for adding the analog stick. After purchasing about 10 different Chinese budget gaming mouses, I found the PicTech gaming mouse on Amazon for around $15, and it fit all of my criterias. When designing the gaming mouse, it wasn't just important that it was effective in replacing W.A.S.D with analog movement, but just as importantly, it had to be ergonomic and comfortable. Using a gaming peripheral that is poorly designed and that is uncomfortable will result in quickly turning the player off from using this device, as it will provide the player with cramps and strains. When using a controller or keyboard and mouse, they become natural extensions of the player. When you're in an intense shootout or a 1v1 build battle, the controller or mouse is the last thing you're thinking about. So when designing the Joystick gaming mouse, positioning of the analog stick was crucial. When analyzing how your hand sits naturally on a mouse, it's designed so your index finger and your middle finger sit perfectly over left and right click. Your thumb is then in a perfect position for the side action buttons. How the thumb sits while using these side buttons is almost identical to how the thumb sits on the analog stick while holding a controller. So the most logical placement of an analog stick onto a mouse would be where these side buttons sit, providing the gamer with an experience they are already accustomed to. And even though we are removing those important side buttons, which are used by almost every PC gamer, the added PS4 analog stick keeps its ability to use L3 or R3, aka clicking in the stick, which can be used the exact same way as one of those side buttons. So to wrap up this video, how did the Joystick gaming mouse perform? Did it make the switch from controller to mouse and keyboard any better or any easier? And the answer is yes. A big, fat yes. All the gameplay you have seen in this video is of me using the Joystick gaming mouse for a total of just 3 days. As I spent a good amount of time designing and building a working prototype, I wanted to get this video out to you guys as soon as I had it working. But obviously, I needed to showcase this bad boy in action. So I grinded creative for about 4 hours a day, 3 days straight, just to get the hang of it. The reason it's important to note that all this gameplay was captured from just 3 days of usage is because what I said at the beginning of this video. Before this video, I have used a keyboard and mouse to play PC games for a total of about 2 hours, and that's it. Again, I have used a controller my whole life. If you don't believe me, watch any of my other videos on this channel. All the gameplay is with a controller. In the matter of 3 days, my building on Fortnite was on par, if not better, than 2 years of playing on controller. Being used to a joystick made the overall learning curve of keyboard and mouse 10 times easier. Not having my fingers stuck to the W.A.S.D section of the keyboard allowed me to learn and bind the keys to the easiest possible layout I could come up with. And by adding a joystick to a mouse, it felt more like you were using a keyboard and controller versus a keyboard and mouse. I am absolutely blown away and almost frustrated with how good I became at building using the Joystick mouse. On controller, I could barely double ramp wall floor or rotate while box editing, but with this joystick mouse, I was able to learn and master it within a few days. If I had been using the joystick gaming mouse since day one on Fortnite, I can't imagine how good I would be today. And this brings me to my final point. As hybrid players are the new big thing in the Fortnite community in 2020, if you don't know what a hybrid player is, check out the pro player Unknown Army. Anyways, I wanted to post this video to see if there's actually any interest in my joystick gaming mouse. If there isn't, I will go on my way, continuing to get better and better with it and keep it all to myself. But if there is, I will post a video going into much more detail on how I built this joystick mouse step by step. I personally think that the PC gaming mouse is long overdue for a major upgrade and truly believe this joystick mouse could be the beginning of that. If you at home are interested in building this mouse for yourself, smash the like button and let me know I'm not crazy. And I know I'm a bot at Fortnite, so all you 12-year-old wannabe pros, relax. It's okay, your only friend is your mom. So I'm in the process of making a whole bunch more of these to give out to some of you guys. If you're interested in receiving one, you actually need to be good at Fortnite. But it doesn't matter if you're on keyboard or mouse or controller, but you need the ability to record your own gameplay and upload it to YouTube. I need people who are actually good at the game to get some awesome footage using this mouse. Thanks for watching. Later, guys.